year is 1964. A small indie band of little historical or cultural importance has just made a few hit albums and premiered on American television with their iconic performance on The Kelly Clarkson Show in February. The leader of the group has a song that he's been cooking up for months. Everybody takes the song to, hates it though, especially his fellow bandmates. That's probably because the song was originally about eggs. The only lyrics Paul McCartney had at this point was scrambled eggs, and John Lennon suggested the word yesterday, believing the idea of painful regret would sell better than breakfast food. This gave Paul a burst of inspiration, and after he finished the lyrics, he continued to tinker with the song, while his bandmates were still disinterested. At that time, the Beatles made songs for high school students to dance to while smoking reefer and going steady. Yesterday, however, was slow and thoughtful. Not only that, but it wasn't a band song. Paul had arrived at the idea it needed to be a solo performance, with studio musicians and a string quartet as the backup. Paul seemed to take the song very seriously. He delved deep into the themes of heartbreak and the cruelty of regret. The main themes are expressed in the lines, "Why she had to go, I don't know, she wouldn't say. I said something wrong, now I long for yesterday." Paul was in a committed relationship at the time he wrote the song. He didn't have a particular breakup in mind. He later admitted publicly he realized the song was about the death of his mother, who died when he was 14. The song is about how you make mistakes that hurt the people you love, and sometimes you can't fix those mistakes. Sometimes people die or they leave, and you have to live with the fact that you can never go back and make it right. George remarked that the song was depressing and wouldn't sell, but Paul managed to get the song into their 1965 album Help. Upon release, the song was acclaimed by many music insiders. Chuck Berry claimed it was the #1 song he wished he had written himself, or possibly stolen from a time traveler. The song won awards in 1965 as a single, and would later prove to be one of the most highly regarded songs of the 20th century. However, the most vocal critic of the song was a random homeless guy with 2 first names. "If you go into the Library of Congress, you can find a lot better than that. There are millions of songs like Yesterday written in Tin Pan Alley." That same man, years later, even recorded his own version of the song. However, his attempt was never officially released because of how embarrassingly bad it was. The song must have been seen by many as a perfect blank slate for stylization, and seemingly every musician in the world made their own cover of the song over the course of the following decades. Most covers diverged little from the instrumental melody. Elvis did an extremely loyal cover to the song, where the only difference is backup singers and his own Elvis-y spin on the vocals. There's something magical about the song where no matter who covers it, they can apply their own style and make it sound as if they wrote the song themselves. Tom Jones's cover is similar. It sounds just like any other Tom Jones song. Somebody who didn't know better would assume it's an original. The more interesting covers are when people modify the song to further make it their own. Boyz II Men did an a cappella cover with the song. Another person who just took the song and ran with it, scrapping the melody almost completely and focusing more on the words, is Marvin Gaye, who created what some people call the best version. I don't know, I don't know, the little girl wouldn't say. His cover is full of ad-libs and improvisations. It almost feels like a different song about the same ideas. Many other artists created covers with distinct musical styles and voices. Aretha Franklin, Merle Haggard and Willie Nelson. Love was such an easy game to play. And even Ray Charles. Each individually finding a new way to make the song sound deep and beautiful. Perhaps the most significant appearance of the song in recent years is the film Yesterday, directed by Danny Boyle. Now it looks as though they're here to stay. Oh, I believe in yesterday.
When did you write that?
I didn't write it. Paul McCartney wrote it. The Beatles.
Who?
The movie is about a man who discovers that every person on Earth has forgotten the Beatles, except for him. It starred then unknown actor Himesh Patel. His singing performance is the absolute highlight of the movie, especially his performance of The Long and Winding Road. The movie has a great premise, which is not explored to the extent I would have preferred. It seemed to be more interested in being a by-the-book rom-com instead of a more thoughtful science fiction film. But the movie still did some good work exploring the impact of the Beatles in popular culture, and how their music might be received were it released now. Yesterday represented the beginning of the sophistication that the Beatles grew into later in their career. It was their first of their many slow, thoughtful, melodramatic songs that would eventually define them as a band. The song asks the question, how do we live with regret when we know it can never be made right? How do we move on? Many consider Let It Be to be the perfect companion song for Yesterday. Let It Be was on the Beatles' final album, and it answers the question asked years before by saying everything is going to be okay. It's all right to forgive yourself and move on. Also, Paul McCartney has noted that both songs are about the death of his mother, whose name is Mary. Overall, the song Yesterday remains maybe the most iconic iconic song released by the greatest band to ever perform. Its simplicity and authenticity are most likely what attracted so many to make covers. The song is about such universal ideas that anybody can connect to it and find their voice in it. After a while, it must have become sort of a rite of passage to many artists. This is why it may very well be the most covered song of all time.
And when the broken-hearted people